If not me, who? If not now, when? And I didn't know where I was going. I didn't know what I was doing, but I was like, I've got to do something better than I'm doing now. I grew up in central London, so I was like grew up in the city, always wanted to be, but I think I was like a country bumpkin at heart. I always wanted to be like out in the sticks and doing crazy stuff. And then as a teenager, I got an opportunity to go to Uganda with the Scouts. So my kind of escape from my parents and my restrictions was I wasn't a rebel, I was a scout. and had the amazing opportunity to travel all around the world with Scouts, and found myself as a teenager in Uganda, and in a part of Uganda where I ended up hiking through an area where they'd never even seen white man before. So this was proper, like, deepest, darkest parts of Africa that I didn't even think existed anymore, and had this real kind of sort of almost, I suppose, found maybe my calling, found a part of myself that I didn't know. But at the same trip met my then what became my husband. And I was only 17, 18 when I met him. And we married and we had kids, and life became very mundane and normal. But when I had children, I realized the working world was not going to work for me, because I wanted to have a family, but I didn't want to be stuck in a job and putting my kids in childcare. For me, that just wasn't going to work. And also, I think I was a little bit frustrated in the kind of general workplace. Even though my career was going well, it just didn't suit me very well. So decided to start my own business, and through my children's younger years, built a really successful network marketing business. I know people have all sorts of interesting perceptions of network marketing, but for me, it was incredible because it meant I had the support of a big company and I could run a business, but on my terms around the kids. And I pretty much did that through the whole of their childhood years. They never went to childcare other than formal when they started nursery schools and primary schools, and absolutely loved that whole being able to build a business, but being able to be there for my kids. But something still wasn't quite right. And actually, through that network marketing company, they took me on a trip to South Africa, which was supposed to be a kind of like all expenses paid luxury holiday. And it was the first time I'd been back to Africa since running my last expedition there before I got married. And it was just this kind of like slap in the face moment, because I arrived to go on this luxury safari and all I wanted to do was hang out with the rangers and understand their life, and just being in that environment, and it just made me go, oh my God, what am I doing with my life? Like, I had a multi-million pound turnover business then. I have everything looks perfect from the outside. It looks like I have the perfect marriage, the perfect kids, the perfect home. Everything looks perfect, but actually, how fulfilled am I? I'm just kind of making money and I'm not really doing anything that fulfills me with that kind of sense of purpose and joy. So whilst everyone else was wining and dining in the luxury of the safari lodge, I was hanging out with rangers, understanding the challenges that their lives faced, and the fact that, yes, they had a job, but they went back and they couldn't feed their families and so on. And rather than being asked to take out and see lions, I was saying, look, can you take me back to your township? And can I kind of get to know you guys and understand, what life is like? So I came back to the UK after that trip. And I think I mentioned this to you in one of our pre-chats, Glenn, but I had what I like to call the jacket potato mum story, because I literally landed from that trip. My mum had very kindly been looking after the kids for me and my husband. So I picked up the kids. I dropped my son at nursery school, and my daughter I'd arranged with some of the local mums to go to a soft play centre. So I took my daughter to this soft play centre. And we sat down, and she goes off and runs off climbing on all the stuff. And the mums all sitting there with a cup of tea, and they're like, oh, how was your trip? And I was like, oh, yeah, it was amazing, but was still quite overwhelmed. So I didn't want to say too much. And they're all sitting around chatting. And then suddenly there's this kind of commotion and everyone's getting a bit excited. I'm like, oh my God, something exciting's happening. What's going on? And I said, I said, girls, what's going on? And they're like, oh, have you heard? I'm like, have I heard what? They said, it's terrible. It's just horrific. I'm like, oh my God, like whilst I've been away, something really bad's happened. Yeah, the school keeps running out of jacket potatoes at lunchtime. What are we going to do? Because, like little Johnny's got an allergy to gluten and he might have to have the gravy. And if he has the gravy, it'll upset his tummy and he won't be able to work. And if he won't work, he won't do well in his exams. If he doesn't do well in his exams, he won't pass his 11 plus. And I was just watching these women around me falling to pieces because the school was running out of jacket potatoes. And when I say running out, there was not a food shortage. They just weren't making, they were making more roast dinners than they were jacket potatoes, right? and I just sort of went, oh my God, what is our, and these are all, the drama in our lives is the fact that there might not be enough jacket potatoes in the school canteen. And having just had this experience in Africa to then come back to that, and I'm thinking, I've just seen kids that haven't eaten for a week, and that's our biggest concern. I just went, something's got to change here, and it was maybe you call it awakening or something like that. But I just went, we've got to do better than this. This cannot. We've become so kind of middle class, you know, first world problems that we need to do something else. So I went back and I went, right, and I remember feeling the most uncomfortable I've ever felt in my life, yet the most alive. Like I could feel my heart beating in my chest because it was uncomfortably beating. I could feel it. And I was like, something has got to change. So I looked at my business and I went, do you know what? We could do so much better. And I remember having a conversation with my mum and saying, I don't know what's, you know, I don't know what's going on with me. Maybe it's a breakdown. I don't know. But all I know is that something has to change. And that was the moment. And I remember writing on, I got a little journal and I wrote, if not me, who, if not now, when? And I didn't know where I was going. I didn't know what I was doing, but I was like, I've got to do something better than I'm doing now. And that was the real kind of moment. So it then started this whole journey of like self-exploration of what did I want to do? What was I capable of doing? And because the network marketing business had put me in the position where I had that magic residual income, I had all my finances for me and my family to live in complete financial security. I suddenly went, well, if I've got that, what am I doing with my time? Because there's no point just growing that if it has no greater impact. And that was when I went, well, I need to do more, because just doing the same is never going to create that real difference.